Today I'm pretending to be a trading firm. The instruments I'm trading I can short as well as buy. And as we can see here, I'm subscribing to the latest view of my positions by instrument. As market data updates, so prices change, and I get more fills, the blotter updates second by second. I don't need to wait until tomorrow or end of day to see what's happening to my P&L now. Now this includes in this blotter the last price, the trade count, so number of fills, the last trade size, the last trade price, the position size, the position cost, current mark-to-market value, assuming I can flatten that position at the top of book price, and then the P&L. Now some positions are relatively flat, but I've incurred losses so far today, others are doing well. Now I can monitor all my positions as a flat list, going up and down, sorting. Let's sort by P&L, for example. Positive and negative and see my overall total. Or I can filter into areas of interest. The thing is I need to know what to filter on. Or I can group positions by sector, sub-industry, symbol, and roll up. So just show me overall performance by sector, by sub-industry, and then by symbol again. The thing is I have too many positions to review at once, and aggregating up always seems to show the summary, which seems to be pretty consistent, not the overall pattern of performance. So when I have only a few positions, tables make sense. When I have lots of positions, this really hits a boundary. Now I encode my positions visually, so I can review all of my positions at once, both instantly understanding the overall systemic performance sector by sector, but also identifying outliers overall within their peer group. In this case, hotels and resorts doing pretty well compared to its peer group in consumer discretionary. Now things are bouncing around a bit just because I'm playing back at, let's say, 10 times normal speed. I'm trying to make this as fast as possible. The position map on the top, which we can see, this focuses on systemic performance and peer comparison. I can see individuals, how they compare to the peers and how they compare overall. Size is the position cost, color is the P&L, both positive and negative, whether it's a profit or a loss. While the P&L by sector highlights the overall sector totals, and my position scatter visualizes the correlation between P&L or position cost. Now I could have P&L and slippage of those trades. I can choose which metrics I want to visualize. Here it's peer comparison, or categorical correlation, or numeric correlation, or overall values. Now I can see specific problems with certain positions that I want to investigate. If I mouse over them, so let's say this Amazon position, I can see what's happening, the number of positions and fills, number of trades, the position cost, size, and P&L, or I can right click and zoom into the history of the position. Then I can review the history of trades for that position in comparison to the market. So in this case I have the best bid and offer, and I have my individual fills. The color of the fills could be whether it's a long or short, it could be if it's aggressive or passive. I could be using shape in there as well. It's really show me the view of my fills and how well I'm doing. In this case, my fills in relation to the market, my P&L, and how that's changed with each fill, and how the market's moved, and my net position across the day, as I moved long and short, and my cumulative value of that position. In this case, my value I've been swapping long and short across the period. My timing hasn't been great, so I'm down 100,000. Now here I can see, is my execution strategy incorrect? Is it bad timing in this case? Is it I'm processing too much aggressive compared to passive, too much dark? Am I going to the wrong venues? I can just jump out of my live view, pick a particular problem order, in this case this one here, see the overall pattern, and then jump into the history and see the progression of my order across the day, or my position across the day, both in terms of my position size and my P&L. In this case my spike in P&L here, then my final result. Rather than monitoring and picking out poor performance, and specifically poor placement in all of the cases for me, I want to review my performance across all of my positions across the prior period, in this case the prior day. I can do this here, where I'm pulling in my history, and I can play back through the day. play back through time, grouping performance by key categories, whether strategy or sector or trader or execution venue, or how passive or aggressive, my liquidity bucket for my particular instruments. I do this so I can understand my performance. In this case, you can see why I don't have a career as a trader ahead of me, and specifically why I shouldn't invest in consumer discretionary, where most of my losses come down. Now, if I remove consumer discretionary, rather than being down 7,000, nearly 8,000, and going up to down 4,000, if I get rid of my consumer discretionary section, now my overall P&L drops, and then it goes positive at the end of the day. And my big drop and return was due to my healthcare investments. So let's have a look just at healthcare, and I'll play through the day again. Now I can start to see which individual instruments, which orders, which positions are causing me my problem. Stop. You can see this particular order here, this position, and this large one here. Let's say if I excluded that, what's the impact? Let's exclude this one. It's actually not great across the board. Let's go back to looking just by that sector. Let's actually look at everything again. Now we can see in the case of consumer discretionary, I was down 2,000. I effectively doubled down on those investments around 1 PM, hoping for a bounce back rather than closing my positions, and instead it dropped even further. If I just looked at other industries to get rid of healthcare and get rid of a particular consumer discretionary, now I can see my P&L being more positive across the board. Now here I'm just filtering and playing back through history. If I can connect to an underlying model and start to change parameters, so if I allocated, let's say, more of my flow passively based on my model, how would that impact my P&L? Or if I allocated flow to different brokers or different execution venues, how does this work? It's the combination of monitoring live, seeing where we have particular problems so we can instantly investigate them. In this case, let's have a look at Netflix. View my position across the day and how it's evolving. What do I have to do at this point? Do I close out? Do I then start looking at the market and see how that's progressing? Or do I start more visual backtesting and seeing based on my historic positions, how are my strategies doing? Do I need to tweak the parameters of those strategies? Do I need to allocate more flow to particular different areas? Compared to just looking at a blotter, typically a flat blotter, where it's hard to understand the picture of what's going on with my positions and with the market as a whole.